Kristen, thank you. The 70th annual CP Telethon is now behind us, and thanks to your generosity, it was a record-breaking one.
Topping last year's record, more than $1.4 million raised. Jamal James brings us that final number and what it means to the organization.
CP Telethon may take your pledge.
After an exciting weekend, the CP Telethon did it.
And we did it. Yes! We broke the record! That is crazy!
They beat last year's record and raised nearly $1,470,000.
It really does take a village. It sounds very, very cliche, but we've been working on this event now for the lion's share of the last year, and this is really the culmination of all of that work on the part of our staff and a celebration of giving for the last year.
Since 8 a.m. this morning, we've had people that work with local law enforcement, people who work for different banks and credit unions, and even healthcare providers that have given up their Sunday to answer the phone for a good cause.
And our four key programs are our Adult Day Services program, we've got an aquatics program, we've got a child care program, and then finally we've got a pediatric therapy business.
Folks in the community and around the nation did everything they could to raise money for a local organization whose mission is to help those with cognitive and physical disabilities live their best lives. After breaking a new record for the longest running national telethon, one thing is guaranteed: every penny raised stays right here locally.
I would say we all need a little help at some point in our lives, and the people at CP are helping people with serious issue realize their greatest potential, so it's a great cause.
In Green Bay, Jamal James, Action 2 News.
Thank you, everybody!
Just amazing.
Wasn't it?
Oh, wow.
I couldn't have been, like, you guys kept telling me it's like you're not going to know what to expect.
Right.
And it was just phenomenal. So many awesome people and just so special to be a part of.
Yeah, it's such a great day, the great weekend, and I got to host the first ever CP Telethon live stream, which is a new experience and super fun to be a part of. And I think it's just a really fun, humbling experience to be a part of it.
Absolutely, yes. And your
Yes,
family has
yes.
worked with all of those.
Yes,
at
definitely.
CP,
and I was just asking Steve, I was like, you talked to Violet, and I always talk about my daughters, but I just want to say Violet is super inspiring. She was in the hospital the same time my daughter Braylon was, and they were in the hospital at Children's for over a year. I mean, can you imagine being in the hospital for over a year?
I gave Violet my microphone, and then she didn't want to give it back.
I was going to say, she wanted to take it home with her. She loved
I
it.
was your new best
I was
friend.
trying to trade her cue cards. You want a cue card for the microphone? No, she was a
She wanted to come do the weather this morning, too. She wanted to take your job.
I think so. Pretty soon, I'll be out of work. So we're in the 30s.